Hello! Welcome to the science experiment in which we're going to extract DNA from strawberries. Now, how does this apply to chemistry or forensics? Well, this is a good starting point for any worthwhile forensic scientist wanting to learn how to extract DNA from a crime scene. So what we're going to do to start off this lab is, well, let's go over the materials. First off, what you're going to want is 3 strawberries with their stems cut, tweezers, rubbing alcohol, liquid dish soap, salt, what you all have, a strainer, a plastic bag. I put the salt in there, and we have a makeshift funnel right here, which will do exactly the job. 2 different glass containers, a bowl and a makeshift beaker, and measuring cups and spoons. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to add... Where did I put the water?
That's the water.
Alright, so first off, what we're going to add the water into the glass bowl. Next up, we're going to add the salt into it. I'm just going to stir it around a little bit. So that way, it's a nice new salt water solution. Then next up, we're going to put a tablespoon of dish soap. We're going to go over the sink so that way it doesn't make a mess. Made a mess anyways, but you know what? That's all part of science, okay? It's all part of the learning experience. Okay, we're going to stir it in a little bit. Alright, we're going to set that aside. Next up, what you want to do, you're going to want to put your rubbing alcohol into the freezer. And you're going to leave it in there for a little while so that way it can cool down. Let me just close this so it doesn't hit me. Alright, next up, what we're going to do is we're going to put our 3 cut strawberries. We don't need this anymore. We're going to put our 3 cut strawberries into the plastic bag. And what you're going to do is try and get as much of the air out as possible. So that way it doesn't pop on you when you're gonna proceed to the next step. Make sure it's all nice and tight. Then what you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure you grind these into a pulp with your bare hands. Make sure you get them nice and pulpy for the next 2 minutes. So we're going to be right back in about 2 minutes. Okay, so don't do what I did and miss a step. So here's what the step that I forgot to do is. I gotta add 3 tablespoons of our solution into the bag. So let me go over here. Or you know what? This is smarter. I should just scoop right from the bag. Right from the thing. So you're gonna pour it into there. So that way, you can start reacting with the strawberries better. Because you're not going to want to do what I did and just go straight up crushing strawberries, because then you're going to get nothing done. So there we go. Alright, now we will be back in about 2 minutes. Alright, so now as you can see here, we've managed to get a nice good pulp going on inside the bag. Now we're going to make sure is that the suds don't build up as much, otherwise we're not going to get any of what we really want, which is this nice pulp at the bottom of it. So, next up, what we're going to want to do is we're going to take our rubbing alcohol out of the freezer. We don't want it freezing on us. It's nice and chilled, ready for us to use.
You could add more light to this, right?
I could work with it. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to add the funnel into this little area right here. But most importantly, what we're going to want to do is put the strainer on top.
I can hold it.
Pause it. Okay, and go.
I did.
Okay, so next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna gently pour this into the strainer. So that way, it doesn't get everywhere. Making a little bit of a mess, but that's fine. We got all the solution we wanted. Now we're gonna make sure this bag is closed up properly. And we're gonna use one of the tablespoons from before, or rather teaspoon, try and press this in a bit more so we can get a little bit more juice out of it. Alright. That ought to do it. Thank you, Mom. Okay. So we're gonna get the funnel.
Get that more in the light so they could see.
We're gonna get the funnel out of there. I'll put that in sync for right now. Alright, let's get this bag out of the way. Alright, next up on our plan is to slowly add, well, first things first, pause real quick. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the alcohol into the strawberry mix. Now I'm gonna have to like tilt it so it doesn't, just for cleaning reasons, we're gonna put this underneath it. And we're not gonna want to directly pour it in. We're gonna want to put it in through the side, so that way it forms a cool layer over the strawberries.
Put it in the light so she can see it.
Okay. So as you can clearly see here, there is a great divide between the strawberry and the alcohol. Now, eventually with our tweezers, we can let it rest for a while, or we could accelerate the process a little bit and manipulate it a bit. So that way the DNA, which as you've learned from first year biology, deoxyribonucleic acid, is what makes up, is basically the building blocks for our cells. And what we're doing, and as I said at the beginning of the lab, we're extracting the DNA from the strawberries. So now, eventually, there's going to be enough buildup from the strawberries that we could start getting some of the DNA strand in a gloop, is for lack of a better term. What we're going to do is we're going to mix this around a little bit. Try and see if we can get a nice coating, but you're going to want to let this sit for a few minutes. So we'll be back in a few minutes. So as you can clearly see here, if you see all those little strands going around everywhere, that's DNA. And it's all being clumped up together at the top of the solution. So once this builds up enough, we'll be able to get a huge, like a spit wad worth of DNA. This is pure DNA right here. We'll be right back. Alright, so I've let it build up for a little while. And as you can see here, if I were to, say, move it around a little bit, you can see the DNA strand rising out of it. If I just give it a little spin, you can see there DNA being removed from the pulp, and now it's going around the solution. If you want to make sure that you get a big strand of DNA out of it, you're going to want to spend a bit more time than I am right now on the solution. Try it for yourself. It's very easy. It's, well, not very easy to do. It's very accessible, is what I'm trying to say. So bottom line, you can do it with household appliances like I did. It's very simple to do at home. Try it for yourself, and, well, don't drink it. And that's it. That's my experiment.